Wildman. In addition to doing the PR for the San Pedro International Film Festival, I'm also the editor-in-chief of FilmsGoneWild.com, and I'm a filmmaker myself, and have a lot to talk about on this subject of film distribution. Now, to my right here is Indy Saini. She has got a film that has just been released, Women in the Front Seat, and I am actually working on promoting this film. So I have some knowledge into how she got to this point and some decisions that she has made in terms of the distributor that she went with, which was Indy Writes Movies. So welcome, Indy.
Thank you. My film premiered at a festival, the Nevada Women's Film Festival in Vegas, and that was last June. So before I started that whole process, I had no idea how the film would even get out there, how to meet a distributor, how to do anything. But what I discovered in the next 6 months was how valuable meeting all the other filmmakers was, because every single person I talked to was at a different stage, had different information to share about who they had talked to, what information they had about how the different distributors work, and some had done films previously, and so had different stories about different processes. Then reaching out to distributors, some of them you can just apply on their website, but you can also sort of cold email, which I had never thought of doing, but you can find out what films that your film might be comparative to, and then go on IMDb Pro and find out what company distributed it, and then get their information and email them. And not that everybody will respond to that, and a lot of people won't, but I did have a couple people be like, oh, well, this is interesting, and send us the film, and we'll talk about that.
Use the film festival. Everybody oftentimes dismisses film festivals as just a kumbaya experience, but no, it's something you can use as a business advancement for yourselves as filmmakers. So now, moving on to the next step. Yeah. So now you're in conversation with a couple people. So talk about what happened there.
Yeah, so the two offers were kind of like the far ends of the spectrum. Because there's like a sort of the standard offer, which they offer to take the film, to license the film for a number of years, like anywhere from 3 to 15 years. Sometimes it comes with a minimum guarantee of, we'll give you $5 grand. Be generous.
Sure, why not?
They do participate in the marketing in terms of like sharing information and social media and stuff like that, but really you are the engine. But then talking to all the other filmmakers and getting everybody's experience, it's like, we're indie filmmakers. No matter what people promise, these like big companies or even medium companies and small companies, we're still going to be the engine behind getting people to know about our product. You're better off, as an indie filmmaker with my first film, it was my first feature, you're better off going with the indie rights where where everything's going on from day one and dollar one, and hiring a publicist, which I ended up doing, and having all of, being in control of everything and knowing everything that's going on. And that way you can really steer your own ship with your own product.
And so we have to think along those lines. And it's like, so for every interview, every review, it's like we want to put that out there, but it's not just here's another review, here's another interview. It's like, oh, look, somebody talked about the cinematography in this. This is really cool. Or, oh, look, for narrative films, somebody give a shout out to my lead actor. She really deserved it. And it's like, it's always something a little bit different. And it keeps the business going along.
Yeah, it was really pretty straightforward. They were really clear about what they wanted, and to the point where, like, for the different advertising layouts, they would send templates and be like, oh, we need, artwork in this size, and this size. And it wasn't like they had somebody in-house that would change all that for you. So again, there was like a lot of legwork on our part for the film, but they made it as easy as possible. So I think in that way, it's a really good team effort. for the posters, for basically everything, they were like, this is the naming convention, do it like this. So again, you do it all. And I know like some of the other companies that I had talked to, they're like, oh yeah, just send us the film and we do everything. So they say.
Right. Or they charge.
Right. It comes
lot.
out of the marketing cap.
Yes. I'm glad you made the quote sign.
Yes.
The way we release films virtually, online, it's an evergreen effort. Because it used to be, we would release film in the theater, everything's about that first weekend, hoping we get super great reviews and have a great weekend, and then the movie would have legs, as we would call it, and it would play 3 or 4 more weeks or on, based on that first initial press push. But now, we land on that front page of iTunes, we land on that front page of Amazon, we land on those front pages, and that lasts maybe a week, maybe a couple weeks. And then we gradually fall off that front page, and then we become one of those titles that any one of us are on our sofas at home, and we're scrolling through the poster images, and then we get bored and we watch a comedy special because nothing quite grabs us. And so then a film, any of the films that we make, unless it stars like big freaking movie stars or something like that, the only way people are going to find it is if they're specifically looking for it. If you make a movie, you better freaking love that movie because you're going to be talking about it for a good 6 years. Because you do a festival run, year and a half maybe for your festival run. You release it, theatrical/streaming. Well, that's another year, couple years. You're doing PR for that. Then you go to DVD. That's another year where you're talking about that movie. And so you better not ever be tired about talking about your damn movie because those signposts are going to come up and you're going to have to do that if you want people to buy that movie to see it.
When you make your film, you're sort of in a bubble. And I had all my own ideas of what the film was. But once I started being in a space where other people were experiencing it, and when I heard what they were saying and what they were talking, I started sort of, actually like I was making notes about what people said because all of that eventually, like I had this list of, all these words and phrases that people had said to me about the film after they had watched it. And that all went into like how my marketing eventually, the language that I use and, how I put it out there. Because I feel like, me talking about it from my own sense of the film is one thing, but now that it's like its own creature, I think it's important to have it be like a universal conversation. And that was just really valuable to me to hear all those things that other people had to say about it from all the audience talkbacks.
Okay, shorts distribution. There is more possibility of getting money back on a short than in the past. Whether it be picked up for distribution on airplanes, whether it be on various sites. We don't make shorts to make money, but we also want people to have access to them. People talk all the time, or I talk all the time with filmmakers about why are we making a short? Why are we spending all this pain and heartache and money to make a short that makes us no money back when a little more money, depending, a little more time, can make a feature which is much more marketable as a, as a consumer good, so to speak. And those reasons, are myriad. But in terms of what you can make back, there are very specific shorts distribution companies.
Yeah, and just to speak on that idea of, as a filmmaker, that you're going to have more films. That advice was also given to me. They're like, this is your first feature. Just get your name out there, get eyes on it. When your second feature and your third feature come out, down the road, it just propels you more forward by having, this momentum now of getting it seen.
When in the filmmaking process do you really set the idea of distribution and how you're going to go about that?
So this was a big learning curve for me. So for my next film, I'm going to try to talk to people from my script stage. you know, like if you can bring people in as early as possible. And of course, like if you have some momentum behind it or money behind it, or, you begin to get stars or whatever the stage of, your project is, then you can also draw in distribution companies or sales agents that want to get on board early. I mean, I had talked to some publicity people before my festival run, and they basically laughed at me and they're like, call us when you win an award. It's basically what they said. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I hope I win one.
All aspects of selling your film you need to keep in mind. And that comes to, when you're on set, getting good production stills, and not waiting to try to do screen grabs, off the thing, because they're never as good quality as if you actually had. And and now mind you, you go, I got to pay another dude, and you go, well, you kind of do. You don't have to have them on the set every day, but on the really cool shots, you go, yeah, it's worth it. It's worth it to get those good production stills, those film stills, because that sells your movie. When I do a press release for film lineups, I will put a lot of film stills in that press release, because I get those same emails as a journalist that I send out to other journalists, and I get bored. I go, it's a lot of text, bored, delete. And I've actually been on panels with other journalists going, I hate to admit it, but I do look at your shit because they're pretty pictures, right? And and they'll tell me that on the down low, but you go, you get it. As a short filmmaker, the golden ring of getting considered to be an Oscar. There are several film festivals by this point that are Oscar qualified. What I would say is, while you submit to those film festivals that are Oscar qualified, also make sure that you're not simply targeting those particular film festivals. Make sure that you're giving yourself a full array of film festivals, because it's just like making a feature and only applying for Sundance and South by and Tribeca and what have you. You go, well, those market festivals will send you off on a wonderful path potentially, but the reality is that you can create a business model for your film going to film festivals like the San Pedro International Film Festival. The regional tour can be utilized very effectively in a business sense. Business-wise, something that's very different now than was even a couple years ago is that you can still play festivals after your film has been released, because we go to theaters for different reasons now. Because we can watch films on our super awesome big screen TV, and so we don't have to leave our sofa unless we're really excited to leave our sofa. So we make our choices in a different way. And programmers at film festivals also make those choices in a different way, because we want butts and seats. So therefore we go, well, that film was technically released, but it's played New York and LA, but it hasn't played right here. So maybe I screen it here, even though it's played those, because everybody around here didn't drive up to LA to see the movie. But the message here is that it's your movie. So don't think that you have to do it based on somebody else's timeline. It's yours. So there you go. Indy, Saini, thank you for being here.
It's a pleasure.